Lesotho, a landlocked country within South Africa, defined by its natural beauty. Its high altitude, with an average elevation of 2.16 kilometers above sea level and the highest lowest point of any country. Its budding medical cannabis industry, but also known for its large rural population and high poverty rate. Unfortunately, the beauty of Lesotho is not immune to climate change, and it is these rural communities that are most vulnerable. Now, imagine there was a way to protect the natural beauty of Lesotho while simultaneously improving the resilience of those that are most vulnerable. Well, you don't need to, because there is a way, and this is how. You take a bit of lime, mix it with some water, and of course, the secret ingredient, hemp hurd, or the woody center of the cannabis plant. And voila, you get hempcrete. But before I explain how this could be part of the solution, let me show you the problem. This is a concrete house, common in rural Lesotho. Statistically, 65% of this house was imported from South Africa. Now, there's two parts to this problem: the materials used and the origin of the material. Let's focus on the first part of the problem: concrete. Concrete has a carbon emission of around 327 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent per cubic meters produced. That's 797 more than hempcrete, and the only way the math adds up here is if hempcrete has an impact of negative 470 kilograms per cubic meters produced. Great. But how does that help these people? Well, hempcrete is 24 times better at insulating than concrete. That means a lot less fuel burned for heating, which comes in handy when you're also known as the Snow Kingdom. It also means less emissions, less money and effort spent keeping warm, and much better air quality, especially when your heating source is an open indoor flame. Sounds great, right? It gets better. It's time to address the second half of the problem: the origin of the material. Lesotho is a small and landlocked nation, so it makes sense it imports around 65% of its construction materials from its larger neighbor, South Africa. The problem with this is that it leaves Lesotho vulnerable. It leaves it vulnerable to supply disruptions as seen by the South African riots or from the COVID pandemic. And with no real competition, Lesotho is at the mercy of South African prices, which is a real problem because it prevents the vulnerable from recovering from climate events that are increasing in both frequency and intensity. But it doesn't have to be this way. Hemp hurd can both be farmed and processed completely by hand, and hempcrete can be mixed by hand, as well as applied by hand. This empowers rural communities to be independent and to help themselves, but it also provides opportunity. While hempcrete can be produced locally, it is of course more efficient to produce it on a large scale. This will naturally lead to the emergence of a new industry, which in turn will stimulate the economy, introduce new job openings, and offer a way out of poverty. So in a nutshell, hempcrete can be produced locally in Lesotho, stimulate the economy, free up time and effort, reduce emissions, improve health from better air quality, reduce dependency on South Africa, be made and used by rural communities, provide jobs, and even be cheaper than concrete when produced locally. So if it can do all of these things, why doesn't it? It's because of this sentence. This is an excerpt from the law of Lesotho Drugs of Abuse Act regarding the granting of licenses, and it states that where the activity relates to a drug of abuse, the activity will be carried out exclusively for medical or scientific purposes. The problem is that hemp is industrial. So despite Lesotho having a booming medical cannabis industry, hemp remains confined to the shadows. This law was written almost 15 years ago with the purpose of protecting the citizens of Lesotho. So why not add just one more word and let it do its job better? Thank you.